So welcome back, family. Today we're going to be talking about the current development in Northern Benin after the attack on two Beninois military base in Northern Benin, where a lot of capabilities that were supplied to Benin by the United States, security partners of Benin, and the French, most especially heavy drones. According to information, more than six heavy drones that were used to carry out reconnaissance operation by the forces that were staged in northern Benin were equally captured in that attack. According to information from intelligence sources, an estimated force of about 350 enemy fighters attacked two military bases in northern Benin. According to information, they attacked the base exactly 4:30 p.m. in the evening. According to information, the enemies have run local surveillance across the entire region between these two military bases. Report states that the enemy deployed artilleries, mortars, and they fired these capabilities into this base. Now, when I looked at this information, I asked myself a question. When did JNIM start using artilleries? Like, what type of artilleries are they talking about? Is it from what platform? So according to information, the casualties that were suffered, that was the casualty that was on the side of the Beninese forces was as a result of the mortar fire that was shot into the base of the Beninese forces. And when the terrorists got in, according to information, the Beninese forces had to launch a quick tactical withdrawal from the base. According to information, some of the soldiers sustained wounds while retreating from the base. And the enemies, which are the JNIM of the Katiba Masina group, the ones with the green turban, they equally sustained wounds while pushing the Beninois forces away from that camp. Now, this is where everything gets very, very tragic. All right. And this is very, very unprofessional but I don't know, I'm not in the best position to answer for those that were confronted at the time. According to information from the initial base that was ambushed, there was a call for backup to the nearest base. According to information, the call was for a quick response force deployment. Unfortunately, based on the reports we got, immediately the call got to the second base. Instead of deployment, the second base became empty. Do you understand what I'm saying? The JNIM with over 350 fighters, they attacked the first base where they captured all those capabilities they captured. And when they discovered, they were willing to fight, but they were outnumbered, they were outgunned, and they called for backup. I saw a Beninois reporter and some security experts from Benin. They were lying about the situation. They were like they sustained casualty. The enemy equally sustained casualty. There's nothing like that. The people in the initial base called for QRF from the closest base. According to information, the military personnel in the second base, they evacuated immediately. You will hear from the reports that the JNIM captured two military bases. No, they did not capture two military bases. They captured the first base. The first base called for QRF. By the time the JNIM got to the second base, it was empty. They had to retreat without a fight. That was what happened. Now, what response have been given? All right. According to information, The Beninese forces, they are trying to put plans together to launch a counter-offensive. But up until now, we have not seen anything on the front. The information we got as of this afternoon, the French forces that are stationed in Benin, which are very, very much, they have launched reconnaissance operation with a Beach King aircraft. It's a reconnaissance aircraft. They have been using that reconnaissance aircraft for a while. Now, here is the funny thing. They ran this reconnaissance operation for about 4 times. And somebody asked in the comments, if they had these capabilities, how come 2 military bases, it's a major military base in the northern theater of operation, got overrun? And I replied, I said, the reconnaissance of the French military forces in northern Benin is not for the security, it's not in the interest of Benin. It's in the interest of France and the region to destabilize the region. Wherever you see French Beach King reconnaissance aircraft across the northern border of Benin with Burkina Faso, what the French forces are trying to do is to spy on Burkina Faso. They have never carried out any operation in Benin in the interest of the Beninois people. According to information, President Wadagni remained arrogant, adamant. He will not negotiate with the terrorists. Well, President Patrice Talon negotiated his way out of trouble. And like I said, and I'm going to continue to say, the JNIM used that attack to send a message just the day after his inauguration, where the Alliance of Sahel delegation paid him a very honorable and esteemed visit, one which is very uncommon in West African geopolitics. Very, very uncommon for the Alliance of Sahel to pay any president, just any president, a visit like that, because there are any presidents in West Africa and there are some presidents. I think Dramani Mahama was able to show that he's part of the cream of the crop. You know, during his inauguration, the Alliance of Sahel delegation visited him with the presence of the most esteemed, Captain Ibrahim Traore. And I think the next person that I believe that the Alliance of Sahel presidents can visit, apart from the president Faure Gazimbe of Togo, I think the next person that they can visit, apart from this Romuald Wadagni, should be Osman Sonko, not Diomaye Faye. I think that's the only person. In fact, I will put Osman Sonko in the same category with those guys in the Sahel. Osman Sonko is at that level, all right? He has proved it. He has earned his straps to walk among that echelon. Now, let me say this, all right? The current president of Benin is a protege of Patrice Talon, just as Vladimir Putin was a protege of Boris Yeltsin. But Vladimir Putin has his own plan. You see, sometimes this thing is sometimes it's a gamble. The French might have their own interests. Wadagni might be the anointed leader of the imperialists, but nobody knows the mind of Wadagni. Just the way Osman Sonko could not tell what was in the heart of Diomaye Faye. So far so good. Wadagni has a very clean, slate right now. He's Delta Hotel right now. In fact, he's getting all the love right now. If you don't know, I just want to let you know that. And if the JNIM is attacking like this, it means that the JNIM, thank you for the donation. It means that the JNIM, or maybe there is a big coordination by some people activating the JNIM capability to send a message to him. Either you like it or not, is the president. You never can tell. And do you think that somebody like Abdurrahman Chiani and the AES leader will send delegations like that? He has been having a dialogue with the Alliance of Sahel leadership even before he became president, long before he became president. So the alliance, don't forget, Patrice Talon, during the Independence Day of Benin, invited Captain Ibrahim Traore and the Alliance of Sahel leadership. They did not go. So if they honored Romuald Wadagni, it means that this guy is for real. But the proof, the statistic will show if it's for real or not, because men lie, women lie. Statistics don't. So far, so good. I think Wadagni is standing on business. Now, here is the thing. ECOWAS is jumping into the mix, all right? And the reason why ECOWAS is jumping into the mix is very simple. ECOWAS have seen that there is a precedent in the West African geopolitical landscape who has been able to, in fact, show some weight when it comes to interacting with the Alliance of Sahel. And what happened? After the delegation of the Alliance of Sahel graced the occasion and the whole thing, and thanks to the Beninese people, they did not disappoint. The Beninois people, the citizens, they showed how much they yearn to be Pan-Africanists too. All the selected leaders have carefully been chosen to dampen the voice of the people. But you can see how the crowd was, everybody was going out, the whole place almost turned upside down when this delegation from the Alliance of Sahel arrived at the scene. So, according to information, the current chairperson of ECOWAS, in the name Ali Toure, all right, Omar Ali Toure, paid a visit to President Romuald Wadagni after the inauguration ceremony. And according to information, they discussed bilateral talks, all right? And according to information, Ali Toure, who was the chairperson of ECOWAS, told President Romuald Wadagni of Benin to be an intercessor. Are you getting what I'm saying? They are now telling him now to try, because what came after is a projection of what was discussed. According to information, what was discussed in the meeting is bilateral cooperation on security with the Alliance of Sahel, regional stability with the Alliance of Sahel, collaboration with the independent blocs in West Africa, economic integration, they talked about that, and prospect for reapproachment, all right? That was what was discussed between Ali Toure and Romuald Wadagni. Now, after this meeting, President Romuald Wadagni came out and said, and calls for willingness to play a more active role in ECOWAS. According to him, he has now called for dialogue with the countries of the AES. He's calling for a dialogue between ECOWAS and the Alliance of Sahel. Well, personally, right, it will be in the interest of the entire region to be on the same page. Okay? Well, that is on one side. On the other side, this is what I would say. There is no reason for a dialogue. There is no reason for a dialogue. The talk of dialogue does not make any sense. How do I mean? Everybody in West Africa, we're all brothers. Why should there be a dialogue between us? A phone call is enough. If Emmanuel Macron can call President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria with a phone call to seal a consequential economic deal on phone, not even sending an envoy or anything, which is one of the most disrespectful deals I've ever seen in my life. All right. So you mean that a president in West Africa cannot put a call across to President Traore or to President Goita or to President Chiani? Let's call a spade a spade. So this old talk of dialogue, I don't understand what that statement is supposed to mean. You know, I don't know what they mean by dialogue. I'm trying to understand. You see, ECOWAS was the party that showed aggression. It was not the Alliance of Sahel. The Alliance of Sahel only independently stepped out of the ECOWAS bloc because their interests was not the same again. They were not on the same page, so they had to pull out of the ECOWAS. And the next thing was, ECOWAS was trying to wage war against the Alliance of Sahel. And they were humbled. So, for me, the way I see dialogue is you only call for dialogue when you admit that you are on the losing side. All right? Now, this is not even about who is winning or who is losing. How can you dialogue? With who do you want to dialogue with? With people that dialogue with bandits? Let's call a spade a spade. With people that dialogue with bandits? Are those the people you want to what dialogue do you want to, what do you want to see? Listen, let me ask a question from everybody. Do you think Captain Ibrahim Traore and the president of Nigeria can have a conversation and be on the same page? Let's be on. No. Let's be honest with ourselves. You think they can have the same intention? You think they can be on the same page? You think their brain process information at the same wavelength? No, it's not possible. I have a lot of respect for the president of Nigeria, but let's be honest, they don't belong in the same conversation. So, that aside, calling for security cooperation, there is no security cooperation here. Well, I will love Benin Republic to join this axis because Benin is next to Togo, they're next to Ghana. All right? Next to Togo and next to Ghana. So if President Romuald Wadagni is ready for something, right? Because this is not the first time Burkina Faso is helping Benin, all right? This is brothers to brothers, all right? I remember the last time around May of 2024 when the Beninois forces were encircled by this same group of terrorists. And the president made a call. No, it was not even the president. It was the general that made a call to Burkina Faso to come to their rescue. And Burkina Faso answered the call very quickly. So for me, I think, this old talk of ECOWAS coming to the table to have a dialogue, to have security cooperation, I don't see any sense in it. Because I feel, in my opinion, I think Benin should be the president of Benin should be working in the interest of the Beninese people. And if you are working in the interest of the Beninois people, you should be, in fact, what you should prioritize is how to protect the Benin people. To protect the Benin people is to confront the terrorists head on. Because what I think now is this old talk of collaboration with ECOWAS. I think the Beninois president is not trying to go straight and connect with the Alliance of Sahel because the criminals in ECOWAS might start labeling him. This is what I think. And it is very, very understandable that the leaders in ECOWAS can never be in coordination with the leaders in the Alliance of Sahel. Even inside Senegal, Sonko and Diomaye Faye, all right, even inside Senegal. Now you are talking about Nigeria to Burkina Faso. You're talking about the different. See, there's a gulf. Nearly 92% of politicians in Nigeria, they are like, in fact, they should be on wanted lists. From corruption, from the amount of money they've laundered to any other, they should be on wanted. They should be every intelligence agency in this world should be looking for these people. The record of Tinubu is still there now, which is still classified according to Chicago University and all of that. This record are in the public domain for everybody to go out there and check. 92% of Nigerian politicians should be on wanted lists if everything was supposed to work the way it should work. So it is very, very simple. It's not something very, very hard for you to know why it's very, very difficult for the Alliance of Sahel to have collaboration with the AES. These people are on a different wavelength. So I don't see a security. If Benin wants to work, I think when you look at the map, it is already easy for Benin, because next to you is Togo, and Togo is fighting, and next to you is Ghana. Ghana has a security collaboration with the alliance with Burkina Faso, so you can just form an axis of resistance around there. You have Niger up north. So economically, Benin and Niger, Burkina Faso, it will be in the interest of Benin to collaborate with these people because they are your biggest economic partner when it comes to the port of Cotonou. So I believe that President Romuald Wadagni is an economist, a shrewd one for that matter, and I believe he knows what to do. But if he's working in the interest of the Beninois people, I think he should start shifting. He's not fighting with ECOWAS. But I think when it comes to matters of security, he should start shifting away from ECOWAS. All right? It should start shifting away from ECOWAS. And let me just be clear on something here. ECOWAS and AES, they cannot be in the same alliance. They will never agree. All right? Imagine somebody like Tinubu joining the AES. The whole alliance already has a bad name already. So it's better ECOWAS remain ECOWAS and AES remain AES. This means one thing. It's like you're talking about Soviet Union and NATO. So ECOWAS is an invention of the Western Alliance. The Alliance of Sahel is the multipolar bloc in West Africa. And in all of Africa, I think the Alliance of Sahel is the multipolar bloc. Every other person is behind the scene. All right. I know Zimbabwe, they are doing their thing, but they nearly knocked out their president when? Not quite long. As long as you are still in a democracy, you are still in the system, that corrupt system, ladies and gentlemen. So, well, and they're talking about reapproachment. What I think is they're trying to renegotiate and all of those things. There is no way AES and when you look at the mindset and you look at the way ECOWAS is trying to do things, I think there is no way they are going to agree without AES making some concessions. And with those concessions being our interest, I don't think so. It is extremely difficult for any ECOWAS leader to be honest right now. And the reason is simple. These people are corrupt. These people are criminals. We've captured multiple politicians that are bandits. Yes. In Gombe State, there was a senator, I've forgotten his name, that was captured, in the north. Was captured. His apartments, bandits were getting their international passports A lot of things were happening inside his apartment. You know, um, they were getting international passports. When they get injured on the battlefield, they go to his house. They go take treatment. There are medical professionals working there. A bandit. That was what he was. Was a senator in Nigeria. Then look at a senator, a special assistant to the state government on community affairs. His name is Is it Gowa? Yeah, Gawa in Katsina State that was recently captured. Being a bandit who have just claimed his own 7 million naira of the ransom that, they kidnapped kids and they got ransom. And he was trying to contest for the House of Representative, you know. And this man is a criminal and he has just been apprehended. Look at that country. So those are the ones that have been captured. Do you know how many politicians are still within the same country that are into that same job? And a lot of people don't even know them. It is those that you've captured that you know. What of the ones that have not been captured? So there is no need for us to preach this gospel anymore. We all know what democracy is all about. We know the fruit of democracy. The fruit of democracy is politicians. Like in Mali, there is a man in the name Muntaga Tall who was behind the suicide bombing attack on the residence of General Sadio Kamara. It wasn't only General Sadio Kamara. I want you all to know that 2 families got extinguished in that attack in different apartments. The total apartment that got flattened in that attack was 3, completely wiped out. Just that the main name around that side was General Sadio Kamara. So it was a politician that was involved. So now Nigerians are crying. They say politicians are there for themselves and all of that. But you are preparing for the next election. Politics destroy. Man, I think that I don't even understand when it comes to democracy. I don't think I understand because democracy that I know, is not good for anybody. It's the most dangerous poison ever. Um, where your government can be controlled. We don't want that anymore. We love what is going on in the AES. And in the theater of operation in Mali, ladies and gentlemen, the dynamics have completely shifted. According to the information we got from Central Kidal today, the Malian armed forces continue to launch multiple airstrikes. And, the terrorists are trying to make themselves happy because there was a video um there was a video that was posted by the Russian African Corps that they lost some fighters, all right, pilots during the February 25 attack, the April 25th attack. And the FLA were happy about it. The West were happy about it. You know how you will know they were happy about it? You look at their media, they glorify things like that. And whenever anything bad happened in the Sahel, the West always glorify it. You see it in their media, you see how they talk. It's just so unfortunate that everything related to the Western Bloc I used to like. I used to like back then. But with what I have seen, with the level of treachery, the level of lies, the level of discord that these people are ready to sow, the weapon trafficking into Africa for Africans to kill Africans, with the level of damage that the West have done, I think it is in my own interest. I'm not going to speak for everybody that I move very far away from the West. The West is a very, very dark alliance that nobody should even get any close to at all. Not because of the Alliance of Sahel. No, they've been doing this for the longest. So this is just my opinion. All right, it's funny how some people pretend to not still know the West. The way the whole media, the way they talk about anything that happens in the Alliance of Sahel, you just understand. Look at the attack in Paris yesterday. You know, it was a celebration for the Champions League final that PSG won against Arsenal. Then from celebration, it turned into, and they almost turned the country upside down. The reason is because the people are already angry. All right, the people are already angry, and um, my opinion is that the people are looking for a way to protest, and the government have found one way or the other to shut the people down. So yesterday was an opportunity for the people, to destroy everything. That was a Saturday. It was it was the biggest opportunity. The world knew that France faced something that looked like a terrorist attack. And when I saw the attack, I was looking at the methodologies that the French forces use in quelling the assault, and I felt like, man, you all are not even there. Imagine what happened to Mali happening to France. A country might be out of the map right now. What happened to Mali? 12,000 fighters with the level of capability, with the ammunition that was given to them, and all of that. I just feel like things need to get better at the end of the day. But for me, when I look at everything that the president of Benin is asking for, well, in my opinion, I think he's hoping for the best, but I think everybody needs to tread with caution. We love you. I think for me, for now, I would say, President Wadagni has my respect. He has the respect of the Alliance of Sahel leadership, so he has my respect. But we are closely watching. Because we respect you, and we don't want you to disappoint us. So we are still giving him that credit right now. We are monitoring the situation. After the attack of the JNIM on the Beninoa military post, President Wadagni has failed to negotiate with the terrorists, which is unlike his predecessor. So we equally monitored this to this point, and we are monitoring his moves. What he is going to do next, we are monitoring. We are studying what he is going to do, right? Um, and we appreciate what he has done so far for the Beninoa people. All we are asking for as Africans is that every leader in Africa should take care of their people. Give your people the barest minimum. You are not going to give us money. You are not going to add anything to us. You are not going to do, we don't need any president to come and do anything for us. Take care of your people. That's all we're asking for. Do things in the interest of your people. We don't have any personal interest in what anybody is doing, but we'll see how it goes. I feel like President Wadagni has a good intention, but ECOWAS might not have a good intention. Regardless of how it goes, we'll continue to monitor the information and bring the news to the front line. And on the front line in Burkina Faso, the Burkinabean forces continue to reconquer their territory, and our boys, the Islamic Sunni Salafist movement, the protesters in Burkina Faso, they are now getting even better than ever. Today, the latest clip I watched, the training is very, very serious. They are getting the radicalized seriously. I mean, if you are radical and you go through that type of training, education is in learning and in character. For me, I think they have learned a lot of things and their character is being reformed, because in a civilized environment, you don't behave like that. So the Alliance of Sahel is putting their feet on the ground, and like, this is how to maintain order. You know, an Islamic cleric cannot just stand up and scatter everywhere. It is not going to happen. And thank God, Captain Ibrahim Traore is a Muslim. So a Muslim is telling you that a true Muslim, that's one true Muslim that I've seen. All right. A true Muslim like Captain Ibrahim Traore is telling you that you don't conduct yourself like that in public. Burkina Faso is not only saying it, Burkina Faso is teaching them how to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, that information has echoed around West Africa and even around the continent of Africa. People are talking about it because that is one country that have been able to confront the, the radical mindset of this group of people, and they have been able to contain the situation properly. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate you for coming today. This is just the update, and we said we should bring it to you and get your public opinion in the comments. Thank you, Brother Homer. Thank you, By Design. Thank you, Greenleaf. Thank you, Ignatius Moore. Thank you, everyone on the Andre community, for your support. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you for staying with us for this long. We really, really appreciate you. If you have anything that interests you that you want us to talk about, you have anything that is bothering you, maybe geopolitical issue, insecurity going on somewhere, and you want us to talk about it, you want us to do some research about it, you want us to throw some light about it, you can kindly also put it in the comments. We'll work on it and we'll bring a very timely update to you. Thank you, and God bless you.